All right. At least it's All right, let's get started, guys. We're going to talk about circles with coordinates today. All right, folks, let's stop talking, please. All right, so we said a while back, when we first started talking about circles, I think when we were talking about the area of circles, we came up with a definition of a circle. And we said a circle was all points that are, thank you. And let me do this really quick. Something was, there we go. I want to continue that section. Okay. Circle all points that are the same distance from a center point. And we decided that that distance that we're talking about here, the distance from the circle to the center, was what? The radius. All right, so let's draw a picture. So what we're talking about today has to do with this idea of the distance being the radius. So here's our circle. When we talk about circles using coordinates, and when you talk about other shapes, this will come up in other shapes as well. We call the center, the coordinates of the center, HK. I don't know why we chose HK, but that's just the way it usually is. And we have this point that's on the circle, and the coordinates of that point are just some x and some y. And here's my radius. We use the distance formula to come up with the equation of a circle. Just like we can have an equation of a line or the equation of a parabola. The equation of a circle. Our center is at the point HK, and our radius is R. Our equation, which comes from the distance formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. That's our equation for a circle, with the center at the point HK and radius r. So, couple of things about the equation. Whenever we have the equation, we can figure out what the center is. Now notice that these two are opposite signs. So it's minus h here and plus h there, and a minus k there and a plus k there. So we switch the signs when we go from the coordinate of the center to the equation. And in the equation, our radius is squared here. And this comes from using the distance formula. So that's really the gist of what we're talking about today, is this equation. So all I want to do is go through a couple of examples of using this equation in a couple of different ways. And then we'll be done. All right, questions about our equation there? All right, so let's start with a couple of examples here. So we want the equation. All right, guys. Equation of a circle with center -6, 8, and radius 5. So a lot of your homework questions are some version of this question, where you'll have the center and the radius of the circle and you want to figure out the equation. Our equation is always going to look like x minus something squared plus y minus something squared equals r squared. Well, our radius is 5, so 5 squared is 25. And this piece that I put in here is just that number, the x coordinate here. The number that I put in there is the y coordinate. So I just take this number, put it there, took that number, and put it there. And if you wrote this as your answer, you'd be fine. You don't have to square anything out. You don't have to solve anything. They just want you to write, when it says find the equation, just write this out. And we could simplify this. So what's x minus negative 6? X plus 6 squared plus y minus 8. The first one would be correct. You'll usually see it written like this. And notice that the number here and the number here are opposite signs. The number here and the number here are opposite signs. And this is r squared. That's all there is to that problem. That's your answer. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to multiply anything out. That's it. All right, questions on that example? All right, let's do one where we go kind of the opposite direction. We want to find the center find the center of the center in the radius of the circle x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 36. So what we're looking for here is a point, something comma something, and our radius. If this is r squared, what's our radius? How do we? So if this is r squared, how do we? We take the square root, so we get square root of 36 is 6. And the numbers that we put in here, take whatever's here, change the sign. Put whatever's here, change the sign. And that's it. That's all you have to do.
Why would you do stuff like this for yourself? I like this book.
All right, questions on that example? Okay, let's do one that takes just a little bit more work, but it's still not too bad. And then we'll be done. So we want the equation of the circle with center at 4, 2. And it goes through the point. That goes through 2, negative 3. All right, so our equation of our circle is x minus something squared plus y minus something squared equals r squared. We don't know the radius here. And the something that we put in here are these numbers from the center. So I'm going to take the 4, put it there, the 2, and put it there. So there's part of our problem. X minus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals r squared. We need to figure out the radius. Well, what does this 2, negative 3 give us? The center is 4, 2. So if we drew a picture, here, let me draw a picture. We know that the center is at 4, 2. And we know that this point,
Yeah, you tried to cut that yesterday?
2, negative 3 is on the circle. So what does that give us in our equation, this 2, negative 3? We could figure out the distance, so that's essentially what we're going to do. But in this equation, where would we plug those in? X and Y. This is the X coordinate, right? And this is the Y coordinate. That's X and Y. So I'm going to take that X and plug it in right there. And I'm going to take this Y and plug it in right there. So I get 2 minus 4 squared, because we know that that goes there from the center, plus negative 3 minus 2 squared equals r squared. And what we're looking for is r squared here. Well, 2 minus 4 is negative 2 squared. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5 squared equals r squared. Well, negative 2 squared is 4. Be careful, you get a positive number here when you square a negative. Plus negative 5 squared is 25 equals r squared. So r squared equals 29. And now I can take that number and plug it in right there.
You don't have to keep it.
No, because in my equation we want r squared. And this is r squared already. We could take the square root and then square it again. But since we already have it squared, we don't need to. So my equation is x minus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 29. And we're done. Don't have to multiply anything out. Don't have to solve anything. We just use all of our pieces to find the missing information. All right, questions there? Okay. All right, there we go.